Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is my first video in JavaScript Simplified video series. Today we'll talk about prototypes. What are prototypes in JavaScript? What is product keyword and its alternatives? What is prototype chaining and inheritance, and how to extend a prototype. So let's get started. Since we all know everything in JavaScript is an object and prototypes are object also, but every object in JavaScript inherit their features from their prototypes. Even prototype inherit their feature from their prototypes. And the good part is we can even create our own prototypes. Let's understand prototypes with some code. I'm creating an array here with some random values. Let's say B, A, Y, S. So I have created an array. Now let's try to sort this array. We all know we can do this with the inbuilt sort function that we have in JavaScript, and the array is sorted. So have you ever wondered where this sort function comes from? The answer is from its prototype. Let's try to get the prototype of this array. We can get prototype of any object in JavaScript with this object.getPrototype function. When you press enter, we see that this is a prototype which has all the features that we normally use with arrays, like concat, entries, every fill, find, flat, join, index of. We'll find everything here. And this simply is prototype, and this is where everything in JavaScript inherit their features from. Now if you create a string, let's create a simple string. Even this string will have a prototype of its own, where let's try to get get its prototype. We'll use the same function get prototype of. Now here's the prototype which has all the features that we normally use with string. So let's understand product. Now we know what are prototypes in JavaScript and how to access and set a prototype. Now it's time we learn about prototype chaining and prototypal inheritance. Let's get started. As we discussed, everything in JavaScript is an object, and every object has a prototype which from which it inherits its properties. So prototype is an object itself, so it has its own prototype, and so on. So the chain continues until a null value has been received as a prototype. Let's see this with some code. So we have this array variable array. Let's try to access its prototype. Let's create a shorthand for this, for object.getPrototype function. Get prototype gp object.getPrototype of. This will do. Now we won't have to type this whole syntax again. gp. Now we'll get the prototype of array. This is function, this is the prototype that we created. Now let's try to get the prototype of this prototype. It's again a function. Now let's do this again. The object, and let's do this again one more time. Null. So we can see we have started with this array, then we found that it has a prototype, and that prototype also has a prototype, and that prototype also has a prototype of its own until a null value has been received as a prototype. So this is called prototype chaining. Now let's understand what is prototypal inheritance. Let's clear the screen. For this, let's create two objects. obj1. Let's give it some properties. Let's say name. Let's create another object, obj2. Let's give it some other property, last name. So there are two objects. They do have different properties. What if you want to get this property of object2 inside object1? Can we do that? No, this is not possible by default, but we can use prototypal inheritance and we'll be able to access this last name with this object inside this object1. So how do we do that? We can do it by simply using the set prototypal function. What we'll do, we'll set object2 as prototype of object1, and it's done. Now if we try to access the property of object2 inside object1, we'll be able to do that. So how is this? Now we know what are prototypes in JavaScript, what is proto keyword and its alternatives, what is prototype chaining, and what is prototypal inheritance. It's time we understand how to extend a prototype. In this video, we